Harnaaz was crowned Miss Universe in December of 2021 in Israel at the age of 21, and I think that it wouldn't be, disproportionate to say that she's had a pretty tumultuous reign. I think especially personally for her, Harnaaz, ever the graceful being, has not really complained that much about all of the excessive hate that she has received online. But I do think that this year must have been very difficult for her. I mean, her year of reign must have been exceedingly difficult, given the amount of negative comments that she has received online. But more on that later. Let's begin at the beginning. After her December crowning, she obviously had to move to New York City, which is where Miss Universe usually stays. And Harnaaz spent this time familiarizing herself with her new apartment, as well as all of the charities that Miss Universe usually worked with. It was during this time in January that online fans and netizens as a whole started to complain a bit about Harnaaz's styling and the way she dresses. But it was only in March, really, that people online really started to notice that Harnaaz gained some weight. This was also the month that Harnaaz actually went back to India for her homecoming, and in one purple outfit in particular, online fans were not holding anything back. They were complaining about her weight, they were complaining about her style, and even for me, I was a bit perplexed because, Harnaaz, she obviously had gained some weight, but it wasn't enough to really make you, stressed or whatever. So I was like, why are all of these people shouting at Harnaaz? I must say myself, I wasn't a fan of the way that she was styled a lot of the times. But what she lacked in people's approval of her physical appearance and styling, she more than made up for, I felt, in her wisdom and rhetoric as a whole. She is an extremely, eloquent woman, and she just comes across as extremely wise for her age. And it was also during this time that she introduced us to her advocacy, shall I say. She very much stands for menstrual equity, which is all about the affordability and accessibility of menstrual products for, impoverished people, but especially those who are still in school and still receiving education, basically. During her visit to India as well, Harnaaz was involved in Lakme Fashion Week, where she actually closed the show in this red dress. And, during this time, fans were starting to notice her weight gain, but it was with this situation that it all just escalated. And this was actually the first time that I really saw people going in hard on Harnaaz because of her weight. So in early April, Harnaaz actually addresses the situation with the online comments for the first time, and I must say that she gave a really wise and heartfelt response. She also later revealed that she had celiac disease, which may be the cause of her weight gain.
And we at the platform of Miss Universe talk about women empowerment, womanhood, and body positivity. And if I am going through that, I know there are a lot of people who are trolling me, and it's okay because that's their mindset, their stigmas, but there are a lot of other individuals who are trolled every day, irrespective of if they are Miss Universes or not. And I think I am empowering them by making them feel that if I feel gorgeous, you are beautiful too. It's in our minds how we perceive beauty. For me, everyone is beautiful. It's about how you represent yourself and what kind of ideology you have.
And obviously, the internet being the internet, neither her initial address of the situation nor the revelation that she had celiac disease really stopped people from continuing to make comments about her weight. Also in April, Harnaaz went to the Philippines for the Miss Universe Philippines competition. Whilst she was in the Philippines, she also continued to promote menstrual equity. And I must say that Harnaaz's time in the Philippines was actually a highlight for me, fashion-wise, for Harnaaz, because while she was in the Philippines, her styling was like peak. She was styled incredibly in the Philippines. I don't know if it was thanks to the Filipino stylist especially, but she looked absolutely marvelous while she was in the Philippines. During the month of May, Harnaaz visited Indonesia for Puteri Indonesia, which is the competition in Indonesia that sends a woman to Miss Universe among other international pageants. And during this time, actually, the weight comments escalated and continued even more, with some fans actually even starting to sort of make up rumors that Harnaaz is pregnant. You know, people were just sort of guessing at perhaps she's pregnant, who knows? And again, just like in the Philippines, whilst she was in Indonesia, Harnaaz was continuing to promote menstrual equity. In the month of June, of course, this was Pride Month, so this was heavily celebrated by Miss Universe. But in this month, Harnaaz also went to Vietnam for Miss Universe Vietnam, where I must say she looked amazing as well. And it was actually during this time that Miss Universe were posting photos of Harnaaz, but fans in the comments were actually accusing the Miss Universe organization for, you know, posting photos of Harnaaz that were too overly edited. I think that the implication was that people thought that Harnaaz's photos were being edited to make her look, I suppose, skinnier or less heavy. July was relatively uneventful. Harnaaz continued to work with some Miss Universe charities which were already established partners of Miss Universe. During the month of August, this was actually a big month for Miss Universe, because this is actually the month that they started to allow mothers, married women, women with children, women who were already pregnant, etc., etc., everything in between. So this was quite an interesting month for Miss Universe. This was also the month that Harnaaz came to South Africa for Miss South Africa, where she wore this gorgeous orange dress. And also right after this, she appeared on The Daily Show with Trevor Noah, which is obviously based in New York City. August was such a busy month for Harnaaz. Harnaaz returned to her home country of India for the Miss Diva competition, aka Miss Universe India, where the next Miss Universe India would be appointed. During September, I must say that the whole weight issue and styling issue it continued to escalate so much throughout the year, especially because in August, Miss Universe had started to allow pregnant women. It was definitely in everyone's mind that they probably just did this because Harnaaz is pregnant. And so that was sort of the rhetoric flying around from comment section to comment section about Harnaaz. And surprisingly, like I said in the beginning, Harnaaz addressed the weight thing once, but she never really addressed it again, and she just let people say what they were going to say, and she continued promoting menstrual equity. She continued promoting her advocacy, as well as all of the other amazing work that Miss Universe is usually involved in. In October, of course, this was a very big month for Miss Universe. First of all, it was acquired by a new owner. JKN was now in charge instead of IMG, but for Harnaaz personally, Harnaaz was present obviously at Miss USA, which happened, and then also briefly went to Colombia. And in November, there was the whole Miss Universe Extravaganza, which was held, sort of to celebrate the new ownership of Miss Universe and also to familiarize everybody with everybody. At this event, guys, I actually literally thought to myself at one point during the year that all of the backlash Harnaaz was receiving for her weight gain couldn't get any worse, but I think it literally peaked at this Miss Universe Extravaganza when Harnaaz came out in that sort of royal blue, purpley sort of dress and, standing next to tons of other former Miss Universes and Miss Universe contestants. I think that the thing is, people just couldn't help but compare, but obviously it wasn't all that nice. The comments were terrible. I think especially during this event, people were adamant that Harnaaz is pregnant, but there were also just some general comments about her weight in general. This was, like I said, peak criticism, peak shock from fans. And yeah, it couldn't have felt very good to be Harnaaz at that Miss Universe extravaganza, knowing that she was going to have to stand next to all of these other women and that people online would inevitably compare her to them. But surprisingly, during December, it actually looked like, to me personally, from what I've been seeing photos and stuff taken in December, it looks like she's been losing weight gradually. I've also been seeing on her stories that she's been posting, she's been working out a lot. So I don't know, maybe she's starting to lose some weight in anticipation for Miss Universe coming up, but also perhaps just for herself. For me, in summary of Harnaaz's reign, you know, ending in, how long is it gonna be still? Like 9 days, 8 days, 7 days perhaps. You know, the summary for me is Harnaaz is an amazing Miss Universe. I mean, she has kept herself very dedicated to her advocacy, which is menstrual equity. But not only that, you know, every time she speaks, you can just feel that she's very much wise beyond her years. Remember, she was only 21 when she actually won Miss Universe. But every time she speaks, you know, she speaks with a lot of conviction and with a lot of wisdom, actually. And I think it's a shame that her weight gain sort of overshadowed her reign in this way. Because yes, obviously she did gain weight. Okay, we are not delusional. Anyone can see that Harnaaz has gained weight. But I feel like it's such a shame that, you know, people online were so extremely focused on her weight gain instead of looking at her reign holistically and looking at everything she's achieved. But on the other hand, I can also sort of attempt to relate to why netizens responded in the way they did, because we are so used to Miss Universe looking a certain type of way, especially when it comes to body type. Whether or not we were ready for a Miss Universe to be crowned and then gain some weight and look somewhat different to what she did when she was crowned. I think that was a shock to a lot of fans. And truth be told, I do not think that a lot of Miss Universe fans necessarily want Miss Universe to be representative of the average woman. I don't think a lot of Miss Universe fans want anything average out of their Miss Universe. I think people usually think of Miss Universe as the sort of goddess, a deity, you know, someone to obsess over and sort of worship, which is weird. But yes, I can also see from a fan's perspective why it would be jarring. But then again, to me as a woman, you know, that's not what Miss Universe is about for me. Of course, I still believe a Miss Universe should be beautiful, but I do think that Harnaaz didn't necessarily become not beautiful through her weight gain. She obviously gained some weight, but I don't think she gained enough in order to suddenly not fit the beauty standard anymore, the sort of expected beauty standard that we have for Miss Universe. And so yes, that's my summary of Harnaaz Sandhu's Miss Universe reign. You know, she's just incredibly wise, gorgeous woman who sadly her reign was overshadowed by the fact that she gained 10 odd kilograms. But I still think that she did her job tremendously well and faithfully. So let me know what you guys think of Harnaaz and her reign. I would love to know. I know I did give a couple of hot takes during this video, and I know probably people are going to have something to say about that, but anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.